There is this specific feeling some people get the moment they close the front door behind them. Not relief exactly. More like their whole nervous system finally unclenches. The shoes come off, the phone goes face down, the mask they've been wearing all day just quietly dissolves. And if you ask them what they're doing tonight, they'll say nothing. But nothing doesn't mean bored. It means finally being somewhere that doesn't cost them energy. And if that is you, if home isn't just where you live but where you actually become yourself, the psychology behind it is way more interesting than people think. They're the friend who always has the best excuse not to come out. The one who leaves every party an hour early and somehow seems happier for it. The person who cancels plans and then feels guilty, then relieved, then guilty about feeling relieved. Every single time. They didn't build a routine around avoiding people. They built a life around finally being in a place that doesn't ask anything from them. And here's what nobody tells you. Loving home isn't about hating the outside world. It is about what the outside world takes from them that they can only get back in one place. And it starts earlier than most people realize. Think about the kid who came home from school and went straight to their room. Not because they were upset, because they needed to decompress. The outside world, even when it was fine, even when nothing bad happened, felt like holding your breath all day long. The noise, the rules about when to talk and when not to, the constant invisible work of monitoring how you are coming across to other people. Recess wasn't a break, it was a different kind of performance. Birthday parties felt like endurance tests with cake, and then they walked through the front door and everything just stopped. The performance was over. Nobody was watching anymore. Psychologists call it sensory processing sensitivity. About 15 to 20% of people are born with nervous systems that register everything more deeply. Not louder emotions, deeper processing, every conversation, every social cue, every background sound takes more bandwidth than it does for other people. And it is not that they can't handle it. They can, they do, every single day. But it costs them more than anyone around them realizes. So home becomes the place where the meter stops running. The one environment where they don't have to process, perform, or pretend. But here is what is fascinating. It is not just about being sensitive. There is a whole second layer here that changes everything. These people aren't just resting at home. They're actually doing something specific. They're regulating. Their nervous system spent all day in a mild state of activation. Not fight or flight. More like fight or flight's quiet cousin. Always slightly on, always slightly braced. Psychologists call it allostatic load. It is the cumulative cost of constantly adapting to environments that weren't designed for how your brain works. And home is the one place where that load drops to zero. Same sounds every day, same smells, same lighting, same rules. No surprises, every object in its place, every corner mapped in muscle memory. They could walk through their apartment blindfolded and not bump into a single thing. And that predictability isn't boring to them. It is medicine. It is the thing that lets their nervous system finally stand down. But here is the thing nobody talks about. There is a cost to loving home this much, and the people around them feel it first. Because when you consistently choose home over people, even people you love, it sends a message you don't intend to send. Your partner starts wondering if you actually enjoy being with them. Your friends start thinking they're not important enough to leave the house for. And the hardest part is, these people know that is how it looks. They feel the guilt. They see the invitations thinning out over time. First, it is every weekend. Then it is once a month. Then people stop asking altogether. And there is this weird grief in that. Losing something you technically chose to lose, but choosing to go out when every cell in your body is saying, please, just let me stay. Still feels like running a marathon. Nobody asked you to run. And there is another layer to this, because it is not just about energy. There is something else pulling them home that is harder to name. Home is the one place where they don't have to be a version of themselves. There is no audience, no script, no role to fill. At work, they're the competent one. With friends, they're the easygoing one. With family, they're the one who holds it together. But at home, they're just them. Messy and quiet and strange and real. And that version of themselves only exists inside those walls. No performance, no managing how they come across, no scanning the room to figure out what version of themselves this situation needs. Psychologists call it the authentic self versus the performing self. And for highly sensitive people, the gap between those two is wider than most people ever realize. And the more time they spend performing, the more desperately they need the place where they can stop. And here's where it gets complicated, because there is a difference between choosing home and hiding in it. And most of the people who love staying home know exactly where that line is. They've danced on it for years. There are nights they know they should go. Nights when the invitation is real and the people are people they actually love being around. And they still choose the couch. Not because they don't care, but because the distance between wanting to go and being able to go is longer than anyone understands. And the lie they tell most often isn't "I am busy." It is "I am not feeling well." Because how do you explain that you are perfectly healthy but completely depleted by just being alive today? And the thing they'll never tell you is that the relief they feel when plans get canceled isn't laziness. It is their body thanking them for listening to it. Dr. Elaine Aron, who has spent decades studying this, puts it simply: these people process everything more deeply, and that means they need more recovery from what others consider ordinary. Not recovery from trauma, not recovery from crisis, recovery from Tuesday, from the meeting that went fine, from the grocery store that was just a little too crowded, from the small talk that felt like holding a weight at arm's length for 30 minutes straight. And here is the thing that reframes all of it. The people who love staying home aren't doing nothing. They're doing the things that actually matter to them in the one place where they can actually focus. They're cooking meals that take 2 hours because the process is the point. Reading books cover to cover, having the kind of thoughts that only arrive in silence. Building something nobody will ever see. Thinking about someone they haven't talked to in years. Sitting with feelings they'd never have access to in a noisy room. They're not missing out on life. They're having a different kind of life. One that is quieter and slower and, for them, infinitely more real. And the people who get to see them there, in their element, in their space, those people are seeing the truest version of who they are. And if any of this feels like looking in a mirror, here is what I want you to take away. There is nothing wrong with needing home more than other people do. Your nervous system isn't broken. It is calibrated differently. You didn't choose to be wired this way. But you can choose to stop apologizing for it. The world is louder and brighter and faster than it has ever been, and the people who need quiet aren't failing to keep up. They're refusing to pretend the noise doesn't cost them anything. But if home has stopped being a place you choose and started being a place you can't leave, that is different. That is worth looking at honestly, because comfort becomes avoidance faster than anyone expects. And the same walls that protect you can start to shrink around you if you let them. The line between sanctuary and prison is whether you are choosing it or whether it is choosing you. And most people who love home know exactly what I mean by that. They've asked themselves that question 100 times at 2 in the morning, and the answer changes depending on the day. Some days it is a choice, some days it is a reflex, and learning the difference is the whole game. But here is what is true. The fact that you are asking the question at all means you are paying attention, and that is more than most people do. If any of this hit home, and I mean that literally, I'd genuinely appreciate it if you subscribed. And if you want to support these deep dives, hit that join button, because the people who love staying home aren't hiding from life. They're just living it at a volume the rest of the world hasn't learned to appreciate yet. And there is nothing quiet about that. Even if it looks that way from the outside,